There have been many revolutions in America's history, some bloodier than others. The thing that made this particular revolution interesting was that the agricultural changes of the Green Revolution were to prevent war. William Gott, who noted the spread of new technology, said, "These and other developments in the field of agriculture contain the makings of a new revolution. It is not a violent red revolution like that of the Soviets, nor is it a white revolution like that of the Shah of Iran. I call it the Green Revolution." The Green Revolution started in the 1940s in Mexico, when people tried to create disease-resistant wheat to increase Mexico's wheat production and help poor farmers. It took about 20 years to breed this high-yielding wheat plant. Soon Mexico had an abundance of wheat, so they started exporting it, spreading it worldwide in the 1950s and 1960s. Though they started with wheat, they moved to producing other grains and crops as well. The crops in the Green Revolution were high-yield varieties specifically designed to respond to fertilizers and produce amount of grain per acre. Investigative journalist Mark Daly writes, "The primary objective of the program was geopolitical, to provide food for the populace in underdeveloped countries and so bring social stability and weaken the fomenting of communist insurgency."
In the 1960s, we taught farmers from Pakistan and India to produce wheat properly. The results were: Pakistan produced 4.8 million tons in 1970, up from 4.6 million in 1965. India's production was 20 million tons in 1970, up from 12.3 million in 1965. Even though the Green Revolution has expanded throughout history, there is some criticism about GR. We have been provided with a lot of wheat and other crops that led Mexico to export it. The increased amount of food production has led to overpopulation worldwide. Many have benefited from the revolution, except for Africa. The problems from the use of these technologies here are lack of infrastructure, governmental corruption, and insecurity in nations. Despite these two criticisms, the Green Revolution has changed agriculture pretty much all over the world and helps people in need. More than half the people of the world are living in conditions approaching misery. Their food is inadequate. Their poverty is a handicap and a threat both to them and to more prosperous areas. Greater production is the key to prosperity and peace, and the key to greater production is a wider and more vigorous application of modern scientific and technical knowledge.
The Green Revolution consisted of Mexico and India growing a significant amount of wheat and rice using fertilizers, pesticides, etc. The Green Revolution prevented a famine from breaking out in many places. Because this created so much more food for people and the farmers could sell it. The Green Revolution was overall very beneficial. All of the crops that were grown were resistant to pesticides and herbicides.
Some of the cons that arose from this were that the plants grown weren't natural. There was an increase of polluted water in the north and south, and this method wasn't too environmentally friendly because of all the pesticides and fertilizers. The Green Revolution has an entirely different meaning to most people. And the affluent nations of the privileged world, that to those in the developing nations of the forgotten world. Norman Borlaug.
The number of farmers, small as well as large, who are adopting the new seeds and new technology is increasing very rapidly. The increase in numbers during the past 3 years has been phenomenal, as quoted by Norman Borlaug. As stated by Norman Borlaug, man can and must prevent the tragedy of famine in the future instead of merely trying with pious regret to salvage the human wreckage of the famine as he so often does in the past. As you can see, the Green Revolution has had a very big impact on our world today.